Teresita, buenos días.
Buenos días, Juan Camilo.
Hoy vamos a hablar, tenemos un invitado muy especial aquí en Noticias Caracol para hablar sobre el papel de Estados Unidos, la guerra en Medio Oriente y hasta ahora las últimas noticias que han pasado con el conflicto en Irán. A esta hora de la mañana, en exclusiva para Noticias Caracol, tengo el gusto de saludar al exsecretario de Seguridad durante el gobierno Trump, ex embajador en las Naciones Unidas durante el gobierno de George Bush. Es el doctor John Bolton. Teresita, salude por favor al embajador.
Ambassador Bolton, thank you for being with us again. It's an honor to have you here.
Well, thank you very much. Enjoy being with you.
Y la primera pregunta a propósito del conflicto en Irán, Teresita, que le quiero hacer es, para él, la operación que diseñó Estados Unidos en Irán, ¿está bien planeada?
The first question has to do with the war in Iran, and it is, how well planned? Was it the issue anticipated, the outcome anticipated when planning the war, or was there no planning?
Well, I would separate between the political planning and the military planning. Trump's original objective was regime change. Now, his senior advisors have changed that, it seems, in the past couple of weeks. But I think it started out as regime change, which is the same objective that the Israelis have. I think the military planning has been quite good and that the military campaign has gone very well. I think it's the political planning and the political objectives that are unclear. I think Trump failed to make the case to the American people about the threat that Iran posed. And I think it was a very compelling case, the nuclear threat, the terrorism threat, that justifies the military action being taken. But Trump didn't make that case, and therefore he doesn't have as much support as he might otherwise. He didn't make the case to Congress. He didn't brief our friends and adversaries, all of which will cost him politically, some of which is costing him politically now. And perhaps most important, he did not involve the opposition, which is critical inside Iran to help overthrow the regime. So these political mistakes can all be corrected, but they need to be corrected quickly or it could prevent achieving the real objective, which I still think rightly is regime change.
Juan Camilo, nos dice que el presidente Trump tenía dos objetivos militares y políticos. En lo militar, muy bien, lo está haciendo como toca hacer las cosas. En lo político le ha faltado involucrar a la oposición en Irán, a los congresistas y sobre todo convencer al pueblo en Estados Unidos de que esta guerra es importante pelearla.
Teresita, adelante.
You said that he didn't make the case with his friends and allies. We've seen in the past few days that he's tried to invite NATO, the Europeans, even Asian countries into the war with him. Forming a coalition should have been done before, presumably, attacking Iran. How does that leave the U.S. in its quest for becoming a superpower again?
Well, I think clearly you try to line up the coalition before the war starts. And I think had we consulted with the allies or the Gulf Arab states or our friends in the Pacific, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, whether they actually participated or not would be less important that they were supporting the objective of overthrowing the regime. So that can be fixed. But it has certainly made relations between the U.S. and Europe in particular much more difficult now than it needed to be.
Le pregunté que, ya que está hablando de cómo se preparó Estados Unidos, qué tanto debió haber hablado con sus aliados, la OTAN y los asiáticos antes, y él dijo, algo se habló, pero realmente no se logró el apoyo más allá, que todos están de acuerdo en que tiene que haber un cambio de régimen en Irán, y esto hace la relación hoy más difícil con esos aliados.
¿Él cree, Teresita, que lo del estrecho de Hormuz salió mal?
How come there's no planning or no contingency plan regarding the closing of the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, I think this is a reflection of political mistake at the beginning. Trump has said publicly that at the start that they weren't worried about the impact on oil prices of launching hostilities. And seemed surprised when Iran effectively closed the strait or threatened to by mining and other mechanisms. This was obvious to everybody except maybe Donald Trump, and I think it actually should have been a higher military priority. But in Trump's mind, he didn't see it as a problem. Well, now it is, and now it's the military's job to try to prevent Iran from endangering tankers in the Gulf or going through the Strait of Hormuz. The military here has said they think it would take about 2 weeks. I don't have any reason to second guess that. But as long as the strait remains closed, it's clear that this war still has a long way to go, certainly if we ever expect to achieve regime change.
Dice que es cierto que el presidente Trump no pensó que esto fuera a ser una amenaza que se convirtiera en realidad y no hubo una previsión para que desde lo militar se ayudara a que esto no pasara. Le dicen sus fuentes internas que los militares en Estados Unidos han dicho que en 2 semanas ellos pueden retomar esse control. Él cree que eso es posible, pero es un tema que de alguna manera no se planeó antes. We're talking about the Strait of Hormuz and the maybe lack of political planning or anticipating actions by Iran. But what about internally in the U.S.? President Trump came to power arguing that he was not going to lead the country into a war on foreign soil. And we're seeing a war that may be taking a long run instead of being a quick war. How does that reflect on President Trump internally?
Well, I think Trump has his own political problems because of the isolationist wing of the Republican Party and the I think relatively small people in the Republican Party who are isolationists, maybe more who are independents outside the party. He would know how to handle them better than anybody, and if he didn't take it into account, that was a big mistake on his part. He's just had a senior official at the Counterterrorism Center resign. I'm sure there's going to be pressure now on Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard to resign. Perhaps others will have to see. But in those terms, that was a self-inflicted wound by Trump himself.
Dice que frente a la pregunta que es el presidente Trump hizo campaña diciendo que no iba a llevar a Estados Unidos a guerras en territorios extranjeros. Él dice sí, esto fue, lo último que dijo es, se disparó en el pie, se pegó un tiro en el pie más o menos, porque no tuvo en cuenta no solamente el pueblo americano, sino la gente en su partido que podía estar oponiéndose a esta guerra, como la renuncia ya hemos visto del líder antiterrorista.
Y allá quería ir en el tema de la carta de renuncia de un alto funcionario que se presentó recientemente, Teresita. Él en esa carta dice que Estados Unidos está obedeciendo más los intereses de Israel que los propios. ¿Qué opina él de esa afirmación?
You mentioned the resignation of the counterterrorism leader, Mr. Kent. In his resignation letter, he talks about the U.S. following Israel's interests and Israel's lead, not its own interests. How do you see that?
Well, you know, that is an anti-Semitic argument that has been made by several people in the United States and outside. I think Trump obviously consulted closely with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, but I think he decided this on his own for reasons of U.S. national security. I tried to get him to do this in the first term unsuccessfully, and so did Prime Minister Netanyahu. So clearly something else occurred to convince him that this was the right policy, because Netanyahu hasn't changed a thing that he said in the first term to what he's saying in the second term. So it must be some other factor.
And one last question before you go, and then I'll translate both of your answers. What scenarios do you see now for the U.S. and its involvement in Iran? Are we talking about a long-term war, another Vietnam, as Iran has says? What are the possible scenarios that you see?
Well, I don't think Vietnam is a scenario. Trump has said he's not going to put boots on the ground, and I think with the exception of a few special forces for particular missions, I'd be very, very surprised if that happened. I think that obviously the number one priority right now for Trump has to be reopening the Strait of Hormuz for economic reasons and for the political consequences of higher oil prices. Trump said at the beginning this could last 4 to 6 weeks. This is the third week. He's capable of announcing total victory at any moment and stopping, but I still think he understands there's a good way to go before we've done enough damage to the regime, to the IRGC and other instruments of Iranian state power that would destabilize the regime to the point where it will fall. But it's in Trump's hands, and as with most things with him, very, very difficult to predict what he'll do next.
Thank you. A las dos preguntas frente a la renuncia del señor Kent, dijo que sus comentarios con Israel son comentarios antisemitas y comentarios que nacen de no querer a ese país y por lo tanto no son comentarios muy válidos. La guerra en Irán era algo que él trató de hacer en su primer periodo cuando estuvo asesorando al presidente Trump y ahora pasó algo que lo llevó a hacer algo que era necesario. Entre si a esto se puede convertir o no un nuevo Vietnam, que fue la segunda pregunta, dice que él no cree que el presidente Trump mande tropas a Irán, por lo tanto no se va a convertir en un nuevo Vietnam. Él dijo que la guerra durará 4 o 6 semanas, estamos en la tercera semana y en cualquier momento anunciará la victoria, sobre todo cuando debilite, si no hay cambio de régimen, debilite a la Guardia Revolucionaria iraní, que es tan importante y que es la que controla a los grupos terroristas fuera de ese territorio.
Y esa es mi última pregunta de esta entrevista, así vamos a cerrar. ¿Él cree que estamos cerca del cambio, del fin de un régimen islámico en Irán?
And the last question, Ambassador Bolton, how close are we to the end to seeing the end of the regime in Iran?
Well, I think the regime has never been more unpopular at any point since it took power in 1979. The economy is in terrible shape even before these attacks. The young people are dissatisfied, the women are dissatisfied, the ethnic groups are dissatisfied. So the conditions really are ripe, I think, here to see this regime fall. I think the overwhelming public sentiment is against the regime, but it has a monopoly on power. And I think success ultimately depends on persuading leaders in the regular army, generals who will come over to the side of the opposition, not from the Revolutionary Guard, but from the conventional military forces. And I think it takes time for that to work itself through. I just think we and Israel have to have the patience to continue to make sure that the regime can't reconstitute itself.
Thank you, Ambassador Bolton. Dice que el régimen tiene que caer impulsado desde adentro y que ya hay mujeres, minorías, los kurdos, muchos que están muy descontentos. Recordemos las manifestaciones hace un mes por cuestiones económicas. Es una cuestión de paciencia y tiempo.
Teresita, agradezcale al embajador.
Ambassador Bolton, thank you again for being with us at Noticias Caracol. We value your time and thank you.
Well, thank you very much for having me.